Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to change out the distributor cap, the rotor, and the ignition wires for my 1998 Dodge Ram. Stay tuned. Okay, this tune-up, I guess you'd call it, began a few months ago when I had a series of difficult starts in the morning. And I was due for a plug change anyway, and so I changed out all the plugs, and here they are. I've labeled them the left front, right front, plug 1, and so forth. And here they are. They all look about the same. And I'm not seeing any evidence of electrical tracking along the lines. Just some dense calcification on the platinum head. I'll show you that in more detail. So here's the plug here. I'm using a magnifying lens. And you can see that there's some coarse calcification along the platinum plug, but not really too much else. Not seeing a whole lot of other evidence of abnormality. Since changing out the plugs, what I've experienced is a very subtle misfire, not enough to throw any codes, but enough to make me wonder about whether the same type of calcification may be present higher up in the ignition system. So today I'm going to change out the wires, distributor cap and rotor, and see if that makes a difference. So on the Dodge Ram, their distributor is way in the back there. And so we're going to take off the air box to give ourselves a little bit more room. To get the air filter off, there's a single 5/16 nut you've got to undo. You don't need to undo that all the way. Slide this vacuum bypass tube off and lift. And then the air filter housing comes off completely. If you're going to do it, now's the time to change the air filter. I think I changed mine a little while ago, so we'll just have a look at it. Looks pretty good. Changed 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Well, I'm here anyway, I may as well just swap it out. I put the mileage and the date on the side of the air filter like this, just to give me a record as to when it was last changed. On this side, you want to get this out of the way, and you basically rock it back and forth and it'll come out. It's got a couple of clips on top and bottom. Okay, now while I'm at it, I've decided to have a look down the throttle body just to look for evidence of an intake manifold gasket leak. So I've used a bungee cord to open the throttle body. And if I can get you down there. And focus. Here we are on the other side of the vehicle. I'll put a rag over the throttle body so nothing can go into it. If you don't work on these vehicles all the time, the most difficult part is getting these silly clips off. This one works from the bottom. You pry down on this and then pull out, and that clip comes out, and then you can release the wire. It's really important that you follow the same routing of these wires as it was originally, because the wires can be damaged by excessive heat in the engine compartment, and not only that, but the electromagnetic waves that result from these wires can disrupt the radio signal and other sensitive components. So you want to follow exactly the same pathway that it was originally. Okay, the easiest way to get these clips off here, you take this back part, you can see it on the end of my finger, and you slide it this way and then pull out, and then the wires are exposed. Normally I like to take these off one at a time, but with me replacing the rotor as well, it's not that easy to do this, especially with such limited access. And so I'm just carefully recording where each of these go, and I'm taking them all off so I can remove the distributor cap without so much in the way. I used dielectric grease when I changed the plugs a couple of months ago, and so taking these boots off has been no difficulty at all. I like to mark on the distributor which the wires are, but there's so little access that I couldn't do that. And so instead, I was very careful to mark on the distributor which number 5 was. And then as I took each wire off, I made this diagram and I made this chart showing where each of the rest were. Once I have 5 down and I get the firing order right, then I'm square. Now, interestingly enough, on this engine, they actually show this on the intake plenum, and here's the sequence again: 18436572. 18436572. So that's our firing order. And if you check back on that diagram I showed, the diagram is identical. So we're square. Now we'll take off the distributor cap. So the distributor is held in place by 2 bolts which have a Phillips head. And I just undo the right side now and take the left side off in a second. Okay, both screws are undone. Lift the distributor cap out of the way and have a look. So here's the inside. You can see that some of them seem to be quite frayed. Not seeing evidence of arcing, but it does look abnormal. Certainly it's worn and time to change it. So here's the old rotor. It was a little stuck. I just had to pull it off. It just pulls off directly, but took a little bit of wiggling and force. And then here's the new rotor. And you can see there's quite a bit of wear and corrosion on the end of the old rotor. So I'm hoping we get a performance improvement on the switch here. So I'll just pop this one back on and put everything back together again. Alright, you can't see it, but I wrote the number 5 right there. So I'm going to transfer that over. Use white ink this time to make it easier to see. Number 5 there. As long as we make sure the firing order is accurate, we're good to go. And before I put this back on, I want to draw your attention to this. As with most distributor caps, this is spring loaded here, and you can feel a spring. This one here, it's so worn down that there's no spring to it at all, and so I have little doubt that this is responsible for my occasional misfires. The test will be after we get it all back together again. So what I'm going to do now, this is our new wire for plug number 2. This is a small volume of dielectric tune-up grease, and I'm just going to put a little dab on each of the rubber connection points. Now this is an insulator. This does not promote conduction. It's an insulator, and it's a lubricant, and it makes it easier to get the boot off later, and it also helps to prevent arcing around in the air gaps where the boot is. And so we'll do that on each side, just a small dab to try and prevent arcing. It's not for the metal-to-metal contact, it's for the rubber-to-rubber contact and the rubber-to-porcelain contact, so we don't get arcing around there. Well, I didn't bother to record the last part where I changed out the wires one by one. The people who make these wires recommend that you start with the longest first and then work yourself down to the shorter wires. And remember to double check your connections and double check your work. You don't want to turn the engine over with the wires crossed. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If this video helped you out, please hit the subscribe or the like button or leave a comment. That kind of activity makes it easier for others to find. Thanks for watching.